Okay, welcome everybody. A warm welcome back to our channel. Hope you're all doing okay. I'm Mrs Moonstomper.
And I'm Mr Moonstomper. Guys, it's absolutely amazing to have you on board. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by. And obviously thanks to our returning subs. Guys, we couldn't do it without you. So your support at the moment is absolutely amazing.
Amazing, yes.
What actually happened there, Mrs Moonstomper?
I know,
because
it just went haywire.
yeah,
the subs and the likes.
The likes and probably the hates as well, actually.
Yeah,
I mean, that's fair enough. So we were only ever a small channel. You know, I never sort of wanted it to snowball. You know, it's always first and foremost for us, it's always about the music.
Oh yes.
And I'll be brutally honest, the politics can fuck right off, and I mean that. And I pardon the, you know, I'm sorry for swearing, but politics can get lost altogether.
Oh God.
Personally, my own opinion is I think that has no place in music whatsoever. However, it does.
Somehow it always slips in.
Which leads me on to another thing, Screwdriver. Wow, okay, that was pretty radical. Right, I didn't expect it to divide opinion so much, but it has, and we've had some good comments, we've had some bad comments, we've had some really indifferent comments actually. But you know what? They're comments and you're welcome to them, guys. But just on the subject of comments, what I would say is, you know, freedom of speech, that's brilliant. Just be mindful what you actually write in the comments, because I don't really monitor the comments, but YouTube does. They moderate those comments, and the comments are set at a level that we think is acceptable. But YouTube will literally, they've taken a couple out already. From what I can see, which is fair enough. But you know, if you've got something to say, make sure it's constructive. Pop in the comments.
By all means.
Do you know what? We will endeavour to reply where we can. But what was it, 500-600 up
so
to this point?
Roller coaster ride.
Exactly. So we've both
crazy ride.
Yeah, we're both working full time, and it's really difficult. So we've tried to reply to as many as we can, but keep them coming. And it's your freedom of speech. And what I'm going to say is, here on Moonstomper Originals, we will never dismiss or delete people because of their political beliefs, their colour, their gender, whatever. It's not about that at all.
No, it ain't. No.
It's about the music. So, you know, if you want to come with us for the ride, that's absolutely brilliant, guys, and we really welcome you aboard. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, big thanks to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely massive.
Commenters. Yes.
So, Mrs Moonstomper.
Oh yes, Mr Moonstomper.
What's today's episode all about? Well, it's a bit obvious, really, isn't it? Because you've seen it in the thumbnail, that's why you've clicked on it, hopefully.
Oh, London's Calling, The Clash.
I don't actually think the song went like that, really, but you know.
Did a wolf calling them that song anyway?
Yeah.
Oh.
Wasn't quite like that, but you
yes,
know, you kind of get the idea, guys. So this is a bit of a Marmite band, and right, hand on heart, I'm gonna put my card straight on the table, and I'm gonna say 100% that it's not really my bag.
Okay.
However, I think it's an important part of culture.
Yes.
This is one of the ones that will never be deleted, as opposed to Screwdriver, which were deleted. And both have opposing political views, but enough said on that.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, that's their point of view. They're entitled to their point of view, and they're entitled to their own. They're entitled to their own rotten politics, whatever those politics are. Like I say, couldn't give a shit for politics.
No.
Really hate it. And it's the bane of this country at the moment, and every other country for that matter. And if politics just went away with religion, then I'm pretty sure we'd all live. What
sort of world it'd become?
Well, the religion should actually be music, but you know, just saying, guys. But you know, you might have other ideas. If you have in the comments below, you know, who cares? It's an opinion.
Yes.
So, what do you know about the Clash then?
The Clash, the lead singer, Joe Strummer. Real name is John Graham Mellor.
Now, John
Graham Mellor.
He was born in Turkey, wasn't he? He was born in Ankara.
Ankara, Turkey. Yes.
Ankara or Ankara, depending on what part of the world you're from. And his dad was a civil servant. And I would say, so yes, it is a four-piece, but looking at the other half, and probably the other half of the musical genius, if you want to call it that, was Mick Jones.
Yes.
Both from different bands, but both met up in a pub,
Yes.
and the band kind of started from there, didn't
That's
it?
it. Formed in London in 1976.
Certainly did. So
Yes.
Joe Strummer being with I think it was the 101ers, if I remember rightly, which was right.
That's another punk band.
I'm not sure actually.
Right.
I think it was like some sort of pub rock band.
Okay.
And Mick Jones, conversely, London SS.
Okay.
Which is a bit
interesting.
I thought it was a bit interesting, being of Jewish heritage, and you have that band. But you know, there you go, young and naive, and like I say, it's up to him what he wants to do. You know, and it's not for me. It's not for me to rubbish it. If the music's good, do you know what? Hell, I'll listen to it. I don't really care about the politics or the lyrics, actually, for that matter. So, looking at the other members of the Clash, right? So you've got Was it? Terry Chimes was the first drummer, really.
Terry Chimes, also known as Tory Chimes.
Well, the only reason he's known as Tory Chimes is because they misspelt it on the back of an LP.
All right.
Which is kind of, you know, if you're that way politically inclined, because they're to the left, to be called Tory.
Tory, indeed.
Well, yeah, okay, that's not so good. But he was only a drummer from, I think it was July 76 to November 76.
So it was only a short space of time, yes.
I'd say so, definitely.
Yes.
It's a really short career, but it's still I would say it's still an important part of the Clash, and forming the Clash. And then the second drummer was obviously Topper Headon.
Topper Headon, yes.
And then you've got Paul Simonon as the bassist.
Bassist, yes.
So quite a sort of what would you say? So a four-piece band, very raw, I would say, very, very raw. And at that point in time, when they formed, I would say they weren't musically brilliant.
Okay.
Like a lot of other punk bands, not musically brilliant, and they started as a punk band, did they not?
Yes.
And then later on, dubbed as all sorts of different sort of genres. Did I really see the genre? Perhaps I.
People see that what we can't see, and then they sort of dub things as such as what they see and hear.
That's the music press for you. So at that point in time, the sort of main sort of music press was you had NME, who were quite sort of they were quite sort of vocal in the sort of world of music press.
Is that NME New
Musical Express?
Oh yes.
So they were quite sort of vocal, but the Clash formed alongside the Sex Pistols, and I suppose that's where the punk bit came in.
Oh yes.
And it was around about the same time that year when it sort of really kicked off, and it became the sort of what you call the new big thing.
Okay.
Now, to me, the Sex Pistols were really, I would say, they were very middle class actually.
Oh wow.
Middle class wanted to be sort of working class. That's the way I sort of saw it, and I would say,
face type
of
band.
It was Malcolm McLaren's baby, wasn't it? Really.
Yes,
so
it was.
I would say it's a bit sort of pre-manufactured, as opposed to the Clash, which I would regard as right. And you can shoot me down with this one, my opinion only. I would say they're a good pub rock band.
Oh yes.
And that's the way I've always regarded them, as pub rock. Have I not?
Oh yes, you have. Yes.
Yeah. Much to most people's disappointment.
Oh dear.
So, what's your first memories of the Clash then?
Oh dear. I suppose I didn't really know about them until later on.
Really?
Yes. In like the 80s.
Well, I remember.
That decade.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Not back then, because listening to chart music back in the 70s wasn't my thing.
No, so obviously you were reggae and sort of that sort of ska and that sort of thing.
Yes.
Now, I remember. So, White Riot was probably, in fact, I think it was their first single, if I remember rightly,
Yes.
and it was off their LP, self-titled actually, called The Clash.
Yes.
Now, that was an important LP.
They made that for a reason, didn't they?
Well, so the reason is their manager. Now I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but their manager at the time told them to go and make songs that had political structure and reflected the politics of the day. Now, if that was my band, would I do that? Would I make songs like that? Each to their own.
Right.
So they did it, and that's part of history, isn't it?
Okay, yes.
Whether that's right or whether that's wrong, but that's exactly what they did. And the most notable single on the LP for me is White Riot. Okay. Which, right, if you know anything about that, that's their experiences of the riot in Notting Hill. So to do with I think it's to do with the Notting Hill Carnival in 1976.
Okay.
And was it Mick Jones and I think Joe Strummer said they witnessed or saw and they were involved in, and they noticed it was black kids rioting against the police. Okay. And it was kind of like, I think the message they wanted to get across was, look, black people are uprising, but white people are just sitting back and taking it. Okay. So it's time for white people to go on the uprise and do exactly what black people are doing.
Okay.
In a roundabout way.
Yes.
There or thereabouts. But when that came out, now CBS, I think they signed to CBS at that point.
Yes.
But they were accused of selling out straight away because as punks, as sort of skins, as DIY labels are
sell out eventually.
Well, they are the way forward. DIY labels, such as when you look at so going back to Screwdriver and what I would say the RAC bands who signed to people like Rockorama.
Oh yes.
And White Noise. That those were more those labels were never big. And those guys weren't selling out, it was going back into what you call a cause. Okay. Whether that was right or wrong. Now, also on that LP was a little reggae ditty called Police and Thieves.
Oh, Junior Mervyn 70s reggae hit.
Yeah.
It was in the UK charts.
That was, yeah.
Yes.
That was. And that was a reflection of the times that we were all growing up in at that point in time.
Yes.
I would say between sort of 75 and probably up to 82. Musically very exciting.
Yes.
But what I would say politically, it was, your guess is as good as mine, And we grew up in those times, as probably did most of you who were watching this.
That's it. Well, their version, the Clash's version, sounded a little different from Junior Mervyn's.
Did it really?
Yes,
so what did that say? That was more rocky though. Junior Mervyn's was really
really dubby and slow and sort of dubby to the dubby feel.
But he's got like a really high pitched voice.
Yeah, he sang in really in falsetto.
Yeah, it's not my thing really. That
I think it sounded alright.
It's just alright, but it's just, I would say it's very middle of the road. Very sort of okay, fair enough. That's the one you'd skip.
Okay.
That's the one you just skip it straight away. But horses for courses again.
I remember Junior Mervyn being on top of the Pops on the stage, and he fell flat on his backside. I think they tried to cut it out. But as he fell down, he's cut to another angle and he's up again.
That's probably why he sang so high form on his backside like that, but just saying.
Always remember that.
So going back to the Clash, because we've gone on to Junior Mervyn then for some reason, I don't.
Because he was talking about them covering that version.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think Bernard something that his manager was talking, the Clash's manager, when assigned to CBS, I can't remember his surname, but I think it's Bernard. And I'll come back to it.
We'll put it on the screen, guys, because it's like I say, with one of the criticisms with the Screwdriver video was that we got a lot of stuff wrong. Right now, I will be the first to sit here and go, hands up, I got loads wrong. The reason we do is because this is not rehearsed. It's just we just sit there and talk about it.
That's
and
it, freestyle.
it's from memory.
Yes.
We haven't got time to rehearse. We certainly haven't got time to write things down. Yes, we've got an auto cue machine, but hell, you've got to cue that up, and that takes longer to cue up than it just to film the damn thing. Then put some info in afterwards.
That's it.
So you'll see a lot of our videos got little pop-ups on the screen. Look at the pop-ups, and those pop-ups are those are probably the bits we missed and the corrections actually.
That's it.
But we don't always get to those corrections because the editing that can take hours and hours and hours. It can take 8 hours to edit one video, probably 10 or 12 hours on
so
some of
much
the.
gone into it.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing I'll say about the Clash is that I think they were musically they're better than the majority of punk bands musically because of the ability to adopt different styles.
That's it.
And that became prevalent the further they went.
Yes.
Now the next LP. So what was the next LP? Because
Give 'em Enough Rope.
so that came out in
That's 78, 79.
78. That came out.
Okay.
And then I think was it Tommy Gunn that was the. I think it was like each LP's got a standout single. I'm gonna say it was Tommy Gunn. Could be wrong.
Yes, because Joe Strummer sang on that one, but he doesn't. He doesn't always sing. The swap roles. Mick Jones sometimes sings, and Joe Strummer sings as well.
They do take it in turns.
Yes.
Sometimes Joe Strummer actually puts the guitar down and he just sings.
Or plays the harmonica as well.
There you go.
He does, yes.
Well, did he not play the harmonica in the 101s as well as something like that?
I think he did.
Should he play something like a ukulele or a banjo or something crazy like that? I'm sure he did.
He's known to play the.
And I'm sure that's why he was called Strummer. Like he called himself so and so Strummer, and I can't remember what else he called himself, and he dropped it all together and it just became whatever. I don't know, Joe Strummer.
Because of him strumming the guitar.
I think it was the way he actually assaulted his guitars.
Oh yeah, because he really stomps. He comes down on it really hard, doesn't he?
That Telecaster, yeah.
Yeah, and he's stomping away.
That Telecaster was a hard time. It really, really does. Now so the majority of their first LP, so going back to that, there's a weird and wonderful little bit of information.
Oh, what's this?
The majority of that was actually done on the 18th floor, rehearsed on the 18th floor of Mick Jones's.
Oh, his grandmother's flat.
As you do,
Yes.
rehearsing the 18th. I would imagine getting the amplifiers and drums up to the 18th floor. Imagine the lift's not working.
I know. You know what it means when the lifts don't work. Oh my gosh, drag everything up the stairs.
Yeah.
And then back down.
But and their grandmother, Mick Jones's grandmother, was the biggest fan.
Yeah, she used to go on all most of the gigs with them, didn't she? She'd stand there going like this.
That's a hell of an accolade. That is, your granny's your biggest fan.
And why not? And why not? Come on, Granny.
My grandmother was not my biggest fan when I was in the band, I can tell you that. In fact, my grandmother wasn't even alive at that point in time. And my mother was definitely not my biggest fan either, or my father. But
they don't know what they're missing though, do they?
Well, I think they did actually. They heard me rehearse once and they were like, no thanks, you're alright. And when they recorded that, I think that cost £4,000 to record, which in the 70s, that was a lot of money.
That was a lot of dosh.
That was a bucket load of money. That was in the late 70s. It wasn't quite the price of a house. It was about half the price of a house.
Gosh.
Half the price of a cheap house, actually.
Yes.
But still a lot of money.
That's it. It was.
And I think at that time, if I remember rightly, that's where Top of Heaven came in because Terry Chimes knew he was leaving. So on the reverse of the LP, Terry Chimes is actually although he's credited, I can't remember which song he's credited with. I don't think he's on the cover of the LP if I remember rightly. But Top of Heaven had come in at that point. Tory Chimes knew he was gonna leave, and Top of Heaven kind of knew he was gonna start. If that makes sense. So there you go. So going back to Give Me Enough Rope. So what was the standout single on that for you? Was it Tommy Gun? Was it? Did we mention Tommy Gun?
We did mention Tommy Gun, yes.
Yeah. So what were you going to say about that?
No, I was saying, I did say there's swap roles singing.
You did,
between
yes.
Mick Jones
you
and,
did indeed.
And Joe Strummer, yes.
Yeah.
And they both play guitars, but I think Joe Strummer plays lead guitar, and then Mick Jones plays the acoustic.
No, it's incorrect. So
it?
Mick Jones actually played. Well, no.
Sorry, rhythm, not acoustic.
No,
rhythm guitar, not. Oh, yeah.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. I thought it was the other way around. But
is it?
Well, I think they actually swapped roles.
I think one plays rhythm and one plays lead.
What you'll actually find, right, is songs like White Rights are 2 chords.
Okay.
So it makes no difference what you actually play. It's just two damn chords played really, really fast. That's the prowess at that point in time. But who said it needs to be complicated to be good music?
That's it.
You know, it's just that's the music that fits it. That's exactly what they did.
Of course,
you know?
yes.
Since when was Smoke on the Water complicated? Since never. Since when was Stairway to Heaven complicated? Since never. That's just the way that music's made.
Yes.
And some of the best music is the simplest, actually. So there you go. Punk was pretty much, I would say, waxing and waning. But there's a weird fact for you. So, punks used to spit. Punk audiences used to literally. The band would stand there and they'd be decorated. They'd be decorated in people's spit. And Joe Strummer actually had got his mouth open. It's just like, wow, it's just the chances of that. And somebody actually spat in his mouth. And
copped one right there, didn't he?
Yeah, apparently he got hepatitis, apparently, allegedly. Whether that happened or not, I don't know. But, you know, it's just like, wow, you know. I just, chewy. Right, so... No, exactly, sorry.
That was a thing called gobbing. Did you say gobbing?
Gobbing, yeah, gobbing, yeah.
Yes.
So it happened everywhere.
Yes,
literally. It was just a thing, wasn't it? Pogoing and gobbing.
Yes.
It was just like, okay,
it's
fair enough.
absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
It really is. It shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah. It kind of made the punk culture though, didn't it? You know, I'm not saying it should be allowed because I don't fancy it myself.
No, I wouldn't.
But that was part of the deal, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
And hands up, which bands didn't gob back? You know, a few of them did actually.
Or he's got a bottle of something else out of the audience, and it wasn't beer.
I've actually seen it. I've actually seen it, but it's a bottle of piss.
Oh yes,
And what they used to do was piss in the bottle, put the cap on loosely, and flick it, and it'd go flying. And that's why they stopped glass bottles, because it wasn't hitting the band; it hit, you know.
Oh, the people in the front.
It hit the people at the front.
And they'd get drenched in your.
I saw it in, I think it was Reading in the Reading Festival in 1981, I think, or 82, something like that, when Twisted Sister came on stage, and I think it was there, probably like the first or second time in the UK for those guys.
Okay.
And
from the US, aren't they?
Yeah, literally, people were throwing bottles of whatever at D. Snyder, and it was hitting the people at the front, and there was people like with cut open heads and all sorts. Yeah, it was quite bad actually.
Yuck.
But yeah, I mean, but we digressed there completely.
Yes, we do.
So, what say we take a bit of a break?
Oh yes.
And we'll come back, and then we'll really drill down into some facts and figures and have a look at the sort of the remaining years.
All right.
So, have a look at this, and we'll be back in a bit, guys. Cheers.
What is there in their apparently negative and destructive lyrics for fans to identify with? I went along to the rehearsal rooms in Camden to ask Clash.
Why do you think punk rock started in the first place?
Well, because it's got nothing to do with them anymore when like Rod Stewart gets up there and starts like going on with his string orchestra, you know what I mean? It's not what you feel like. So you've got to have some music what you feel like. Otherwise you go balmy, don't you?
I think their attitudes really stink. Now, anyway, they're just like... There just has to be new groups, and then that's what you got.
The Sex Pistols say they hate hippies, everything they stand for, and the hippies what went wrong with music. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's right. I think that's where the complexities came in, you know? When people thought, oh, we better buy a Moog synthesizer. or we'll get caught out, you know. Like maybe.
If there's any around, they should, like, you know, jump into action immediately. Because, you know, I suppose it ain't their fault. They've had too much dope.
Yeah, lying on the floor and looking at the ceiling.
But it's another generation to yours.
Yeah, one that went wrong.
What sort of thing do you write about?
What's going on at the moment?
Like what?
Like what? Career opportunities. White Riot.
Yeah, tell me about White Riot. What's it about?
Notting Gate.
Like, you know that riot they had? Well, we was down there, me and him, and we got searched by policemen looking for bricks, like, and then later on we got searched by Rasta looking for pound notes in our pockets, so...
All we had was bricks and bottles. But still.
But one of the lines in it is everybody does what they're told to.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, do you think what's happened to a lot of young people is that they've been pushed around a lot?
Yeah,
and
well,
that your
like,
music's a bit
the
of
school I went to, right? I mean, they're sort of like, all the kids are supposed to sort of like be factory project, you know, that sort of stuff. And like, the school's sort of built, it's a real sort of depressing school and that. And you go there, you don't learn nothing. All you're sort of like working for is just to go into the factory which is around the corner or something like that. And, well, most of the mates I know are all working in the factory.
I mean, a lot of your fans on the dole, I mean, do they feel the same way?
Yeah, else they wouldn't come to our gigs, would they?
If they weren't on the dole, would they be your fans?
Well, I mean, if there was jobs, then they wouldn't be on the dole. And maybe we'd be singing about love and kissing or something.
Okay, and action.
Right, well, you know.
We got Gal. Come on.
One, take one. The Clash.
The Clash don't sing soppy songs about teenage love or about pickups at the local disco. They tell of white riots. They warn of Armageddon time. They shout about the cost of living. They say they owe no allegiance to either the right or the left. And despite an almost contemptuous disregard for exposure on TV and radio, they're one of the most successful groups in Britain today.
Is redemptive. Go back to Mississippi.
It's early afternoon, and lead singer Joe Strummer gets himself together with a selection from Martin Luther King's greatest hits. For a man who sung himself hoarse the night before and is now about to travel 50 miles to do the same in foggy Edinburgh, Dr. King's vision from the mountaintop is stirring stuff.
I am not unmindful that some of you have come here but have not walked in the valley of despair. I say to you, today, my friends,
As the group leaves town, the entourage's strays are bailed out. The Clash and their enthusiastic fans have had more than their fair share of attention from the law. The result, rightly or wrongly, is suspicion bordering on paranoia. Frankly, the Clash don't regard the boys in blue as potential friends.
It really is. It's so boring down the local neck, like, say, example, in Dundee, that they just love to grab a few pufters from London and, you know what I mean, it livens up the police station. You know, I've done it in Newcastle, you know. Obviously, they're fed up with nicking the same old drunks or whatever, and then when you've got a few Nancy boys up from London, you know, grab them and have a bit of fun. And maybe, you know, if you can do it for a bit of something heavy, you know, you can get a bit of promotion. I don't know what they think.
The audience go wild, and probably the police react in the same way, perhaps, you know? And so we seem to attract quite a bit of it. We could do well without it.
Above all, the Clash pride themselves on putting on a professional show, giving the kids value for money.
Getting there all the same.
They're great to the kids as well. They stood outside their hotel for about 10 minutes last night. It was freezing and they signed autographs and everything. It was great.
They're not a rip-off.
An hour before the concert, the atmosphere in the dressing room is almost monastic. However, Joe does have to have a little something to get himself on stage. Honey and lemon, for his voice.
I've never been able to keep healthy in the winter.
But how long have you been waiting out here?
Since about 2 o'clock.
Why have you waited all that time?
To get their autographs or something. Just to see them.
We've not got tickets either.
The band's concern for their fans even runs to letting some of them into the concert free. The group also fights to keep its record prices down. Their last double album was half price. Their stand, though, has been expensive. It's rumoured that they owe their record company a six-figure sum. Frankly, they're broke. They've no money to buy homes or drive fast cars. They're rock and roll gypsies, constantly on the move, frightened to stop.
Do you get angry with the record company?
Well, I have done. When they put records out you don't like, you know, of your own ones that you don't think should be the one, then you get angry with them, yeah, and there's all sorts of arguments. And when it seems like they're just going berserk, ripping people off, you know what I mean? The whole music business is really based on ripping people off, I think. You know, so we're sort of a counterbalance force there. And when they try it with our stuff, yeah, we do get angry, don't we?
Relationships between bands and record companies, by and large, a pretty unhealthy one. I think the record companies spend too much money and encourage the bands to spend too much money. They invest too much, I think, and the whole system is geared up for spending enormous sums of money and therefore getting bands enormously in debt. So they feel that they know that if they start really shaking the record company and standing up for their own rights too much, then in the last analysis, the record company can pull away the money.
Oh, we could be out of trouble this time next year.
Providing you keep making records?
Sure, providing the show goes on.
If we stopped, sort of isn't really recuperable money anyway. You know, so if it stops, it stops. But at the moment, we don't feel like it should stop.
We'd all have to take a minicab to the bankruptcy court if we knocked on the head now anyway, probably.
They're very anxious that like ticket prices and record prices should be absolutely as low as possible, but at the same time they want to do a really good professional show, and I'm always the sort of the bad guy who's trying to explain that, you know, 2 and 2 makes 4 and not 3, you know, and that if we want to be independent, we've got to be self-financing. We can't live on payouts from record company. We've got to make what we do pay, so that one can have a sort of spiritual independence from the record company, as well as, you know, whatever contracts may say.
I don't think I'll ever be able to face Joe Strummer ever again. I guaranteed him, I promised him that London Calling would definitely be top 10, and he bet me something like a Cadillac. Anyway.
Disc jockey Annie Nightingale said she'd give Joe Strummer a Cadillac if the Clash's single didn't get into the top 10. It got to number 11. Now she has to pay up. Fortunately, a listener has come to her rescue and provided the car. Typically, Joe's going to give it away to the steel town of Corby. He reckons they need it more than he does. And anyhow, he can't drive.
What makes the Clash so good, though, above all the other groups?
Because they're the ones that are staying in.
They're the only band that have stuck to their promise, you know, going on top of the pops.
Hey, welcome back everybody. I sure hope you enjoyed that little interlude.
Certainly hope you did.
Yes.
So, just before the break, we were talking obviously about the Clash, and we were on Give 'Em Enough Road, 1978, and 1978 for the Clash was, I would say, it was one of their biggest transitional moves to something completely different.
Of course.
So, in that period, a lot happened. So, Rock Against Racism happened. Whatever you make of that, guys, You know,
this was like back in 77.
It was 78.
Oh, I thought it was
78. No, Rock Against Racism actually,
Oh.
that actually started and that was founded.
Okay.
And I think it was after Eric Clapton came out with a. He came out
with a speech.
Well, yeah, an impromptu speech at Birmingham Odeon, which was my local. That was my local concert hall, funnily enough, in 1976.
Gosh.
And the Clash they just happened to sort of jump to that sort of ideology for whatever reason, and other bands did as well.
Yes.
But at that point in time, feelings and tensions were running high in the UK.
My gosh, yes.
The political
Were they
situation, as we've said in other videos, was really, really quite dire, with lots of things going on. And if you're anything like us, I grew up in an inner city, you grew up in an inner city, and I grew up in a big inner city, Birmingham, and Birmingham was quite fraught with tension. It was a bit of a tinderbox, not quite as bad as London.
No.
And there were other places as well, such as Liverpool, and then Bristol. There were quite a few other places that were just ready to go up.
Gosh,
but that Rock Against Racism, that was a carnival, like a carnival type sort of affair, where they actually played at, I think it was 1978, correct me if I'm wrong, and it was Victoria Park. I don't know why I was saying Hyde Park.
Oh, right.
But it was
Victoria Park.
It was Victoria Park, and I think sharing the stage on that day was, I'm going to say...
Is it Steel Pulse, were they there?
Steel Pulse were there, I'm sure
right.
there were, and I think there was... Jimmy Percy actually did the vocals on White Riot at the end.
Oh, yes.
And filming it all was none other than Don Letts.
Oh, yes, Don Letts.
Now, Don Letts, so if you don't know who Don Letts is, go and watch his films. They're absolutely amazing.
He's a film producer and a musician.
He's first and foremost a film producer, and a really, really good film producer. So he did a documentary in 2015, 2016 on skinheads.
Yes.
And that's probably the most comprehensive documentary you'll ever see.
Yeah, we've watched it.
And he's looked at each and every aspect of it right from the beginning, right the way through.
Yes.
And it's a bloody good watch, it really is. So if you haven't watched that, go and watch it. And he's done a few others as well, but he filmed, I think it was about 6 or 7 Clash videos.
Okay, yes.
So he got quite a vested interest in that band. But he also, just as a side note, he also managed the Slits for a short period of time.
Oh yeah, girl band. The
girl band, girl sort of punk band, wasn't
yes,
it? You know,
yes.
who knew that?
Yes.
But going back to that big sort of Rock Against Racism, that was, I think 100,000 people attended that event.
Wow.
Marched from Trafalgar Square and went there. The sort of however many miles that was.
Goodness me.
Yeah, and it was documented on camera.
Yes.
And then a few months later there was another one I think it was in Brixton, and I think Aswad played that and other bands. But yeah, there you go.
Gosh.
So, as well as being involved in that, they, like I say, they got rid of the manager. And what was the manager's name again?
Bernie Rhodes.
Bernie Rhodes. We didn't look that up during the break, did we?
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
What do we do?
Okay.
That?
Just saves me putting the graphic on the screen, guys. But they had to leave their rehearsal rooms, and then they got a new set in Pimlico.
That sounds really posh.
No, Pimlico's an area in London.
Yeah,
it
sounds Pimlico. Sounds rather up there.
I always thought it sounded posh, but it's just Pimlico. It's just an area in London. And at that point in time, I think it was a bit later where I think they released an EP, and I think it was called The Cost of Living or something like that EP. Does that ring true today, guys, or what? The cost of living?
Gosh.
You know? Some things never change, do they?
It's like the proceeding to the future.
Yeah, exactly. I think it just goes round in sort of 40-year cycles, to be quite honest with you, but there you go. And they got writer's block after that.
Okay.
Complete writer's block.
Goodness me.
Looking for another LP. And they managed to write what the Rolling Stone magazine billed as the best LP of the... Well, they said the 1980s, but it actually came out in 1979, but it was late 79, so
late, yes.
yeah. But And
Because it ran over into the 80s, I guess.
Well, yeah, but it was London Calling.
Yes.
And that was the LP that actually got them into... They actually got them into the USA.
Okay.
First of all. The other ones did. Where
They
they
made it big up there, didn't they? Big in the USA.
It wasn't massive, but it was enough to go onto the billboards for them to be noticed.
Yes.
And what I would say, traditionally, British bands don't do well in the States.
Okay.
With the exception of a few.
Mm.
You know, especially in that day and age as well.
Yes.
But they just managed to sort of musically change. And London Calling, which the video for that was also shot by Don Letts, was what I would say that's probably my favourite Clash song of all time.
Yes.
It's absolutely amazing, and it's a departure from their punk, and it's almost going into new wave, so they're preparing for new wave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, Mr Moonstomper, did you know this track, London Calling? British Telecom wanted to use it for one of their campaigns.
I actually didn't they tell him to bugger right off?
Yes.
Yeah.
They were not having a bar of it. This is no. Why should we let you use our song for your campaign?
Well, exactly. Well, the cover of the LP, but this is the irony where somebody wanted to use something. The cover for the LP was actually for the Clash's London Calling.
Yes.
It's a direct rip-off of a friggin' Elvis.
Yes, it is.
LP. Wow, you know.
The way the writing sort of on one side and then across.
Yeah, and the picture of Elvis on the front. Fair enough. It's just, you know.
But I think it's Mick Clash smashing a guitar or something.
Mick Jones smashing a guitar, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, it looks the same as Elvis. It's not Elvis singing. It's Mick Jones sort of.
I can't remember. We've actually got the picture on the wall in another room. Actually, I'll have to go and look at it again. But yeah, it's on there.
It is.
But yeah, the absolute irony of it. We'll rip it off, but we're gonna let anybody else rip it off. Us.
Do as I say, not do as I do.
But there you go. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. But there's a little funny thing as well. They were also arrested for stealing pillowcases.
Oh yeah, it's in
a hotel.
From a hotel in Newcastle.
Wow, hardcore, man.
Gosh.
Absolute hardcore.
Rock and roll,
yeah.
rock and roll.
But I've got a feeling, wasn't that documented in the film? Was it Rude Boy, the film?
Rude Boy, yes.
Rude Boy.
That's one of the films I starred in.
If you haven't seen Rude Boy, go and watch Rude Boy. It's, you know, especially if you're from that era and you remember that growing up.
Yes.
It's, you know, it just epitomises.
Gosh.
It just epitomises the age, doesn't it? It
That's
really does.
it.
It's of the age.
The main character called Ray Gange, the young lad.
He works in a sex shop.
Sex book shop, yes. Yeah. And he's on the dole at the same time. But I think we mentioned him before. He's the one that follows Clash around.
Yeah.
All the gigs, and he sort of takes over, and then they'll tell him to get off the stage because he's too forward. He's like in your face all the time, and he won't go away. He's just like a bit of a layabout, really. This Ray character.
There you go. So there you go. But yeah, great film all the same.
Yes.
Yeah, and then now at that point in time, the band was starting to fray.
Okay.
Although they hadn't frayed yet. Now, another thing as well, CBS earlier said that, right, now CBS just did what CBS wanted to do.
Okay.
So they, I think on the first LP, I can't remember which single it was, they released it without the Clash's knowledge.
Okay.
And I don't know if it was London.
I've heard about that.
I don't know if it was London's Burning or whatever.
One of the early singles.
It was like quite a controversial single actually, in terms of everything.
Yes.
And they just released it without the Clash's knowledge because they liked it. But there you go, it's record companies for you.
Oh, very dare.
But you know, there you go. They saw the money. But also, they said that the Clash weren't good enough for radio airplay in the United States.
Again, how very dare. That's somebody's opinion, isn't that?
It's, yeah, again, opinions.
Makes you wonder why.
Opinions, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
Oh, another thing, Mr Moonstomper, you mentioned the Slits, that girl rock band. No, Viv Albertine, I think she's the lead singer. She and Paul Simonon from The Clash, they're modelled for a Laura Ashley calendar together.
Well, Paul Simonon
Yes.
Right, he was voted, I think he was voted as hunkiest
guy
of 1979 or something.
in Playgirl magazine.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, he was, you know, I mean, not my bag, but he was a good-looking bloke.
Yes, yes.
And yeah, okay, fair enough.
So you did a bit of modelling there, like photo shoots for a calendar and for a magazine also.
For a punk to a model. Yeah, okay.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but you know, it's like, you know, let's you know, I mean.
But his image didn't look very punky. Just looked.
I just, you know, I've always kind of said, but and that's the other thing that bit the Clash. So it bit Mick Jones really hard.
Oh, what's this?
When they did they headlined Rock Against Racism. When everybody went, well, hang on, weren't you in that band in 1975-76, London SS? Which was like, you know, it's just like, wow.
I just imagine the colour drained from his face when he got confronted.
Defend that one, but you know, what I'm saying is, it's an opinion again.
Again,
you know,
yes.
Yeah, and the problem is with being a musician, is that the press are going to get in your back, the mainstream press,
as they do,
and they will twist it any which way they want to.
Yes, of course.
Exactly, and I think it was Enemy who said they were crap as well.
Oh, right.
When they first came out, funnily enough, they got straight in the back of them and went, "Oh, this is shit." And I think that was their first gig with the Sex Pistols.
Okay, yeah.
Where they said they were shit, and to be honest with you, you know, they might have been right actually, but they did get better with age.
Gosh. And then they used to go hungry as well, the Clash. At one point, they weren't getting paid properly. And the putting posters up all night, the advertising, the concert posters, you know, the flower water paste that was left. Paul Simpson, we're mentioning Paul Simon, and again, you got Rusty Blade heated up the flour paste to make a bit of like a doughy bread type thing. And he was so hungry, the poor lad.
Delicious.
Yeah, he ate the rest of the paste on a Rusty Blade.
I would rather drink bleach, to be honest with you, but there you go.
If you're that hungry, you get desperate. You go to desperately. You go through you go to all sorts of measures, wouldn't you?
I'm saying nothing.
Oh dear.
I'm saying nothing. I've been a hungry musician before, and I know.
Yes.
But yeah, okay, fair enough.
Dear.
There you go.
That's life for you. That's a musician's life sometimes. You just sort of hit rock bottom and you have to work your way up.
What you have to realise with the Clash as well, they didn't make any money really until 1982.
Gosh.
Because they were constantly in debt to CBS. Constantly.
Jeez,
and that's the way record companies used to do that in those days. What they'd do is they would sign you and they'd give you a humongous advance. And that advance would go because, you know, young people seeing, you know, £40,000-50,000, a lot of money then.
But wouldn't that go on like cost of living and instruments and things like transport?
Hell no, that would go on cars, houses, drugs, sex, women, wine, you know, all those things that didn't matter, because that's what young people do.
Yes.
You would blow the lot instantly,
That's it.
and you'd be wanting more and more and more. You know, the living bit, you can live on someone's sofa, that doesn't matter.
Or in a van.
Yeah, exactly. That doesn't matter until you get a bit older and you realise, actually, I should have saved some of that. But what I'm saying is that's the way record companies used to get the hooks into people.
Yeah, they did.
They go, there you go, have a massive advance. And the thing is, once they've given you the advance, you're their puppet.
Yes.
And you've got to do exactly what they say. And
So-
the deal they would have signed would have been for, you know, it's rare a band signs a 1 LP deal. It's really, really rare. It's going to be like 2 or 3 LPs with the caveat you've got to get those singles into the charts.
Gosh.
And that's quite a lot of pressure.
So bloody unscrupulous, that's what I say.
It is difficult because you've got to write the thing. You've got, you know, don't forget, each and every single you're writing, that's going to be the next #1 hit, potentially.
Fingers crossed. That's it. You're going to hope and pray that it reaches
And
the top 3 at least.
I would say, invariably, they don't reach #1. Invariably, you know, unless they're flavour of the month or they've got the catchiest tune ever. And that's just the way the music industry used to be. Nowadays it's pre-manufactured and it's completely different, and I would quite categorically put my hand on heart and say the music industry's gone. It's not as we know it anymore.
Nah, so different.
And bands, they're
Totally spiral down the pan.
I would say a lot of bands now are androgynous. It's just, it's the same
Gosh.
all the way through, and that's another reason we have this channel, is so we can look at the sort of the glorious past and not forget the past, however
That's
glorious or however inglorious that may be, depending on your opinion, guys.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the one.
So the next LP, because enough rattling. The next LP was, and I can never ever pronounce that LP.
Oh, Sandini.
Sit down.
Sandinini, something like that.
I can never pronounce
Sandini.
it. I can't, that
I
one.
think it is, yeah. Something like that anyway.
That one now, that made it through to the US.
Okay.
That got through, and that, in my opinion, that was a bit...
Oh dear.
That was a bit, just a bit, for me. It was a bit, but still okay.
Yes.
But you could see the cracks were beginning to appear, and musically they had to change because the times had changed. Punk, don't forget, guys, punk was a fashion. And punk had been and gone.
Like a passing phase
and
fashion.
If you don't reinvent yourself, especially if you're in a what's called a faddy type band, then you're not gonna make it.
No,
it's as simple as that. Once that genre goes, that's it. You can't stand out alone. You have to change, and unfortunately, you have to roll with the times, and that's a shame. It really is. Otherwise, you'll get your diehards following you, but your diehards dwindle and get older, and
the money, change as well.
Yeah, and the money gets less and less and less.
Yes.
And you can't live off you can't live off the past, can you? Yeah.
Only sometimes if it's if you can.
Well, the only band who can do that is probably Slade with Merry Christmas Everyone, which is a guaranteed pension cash pot, is it not? But
yes, and then again, I suppose not these days. If you try to revive, and I don't think you're right. Yeah.
Well,
you're right.
And
thinking about it.
Yeah, and the other thing as well is, I don't know, and you guys at home, I don't know how many bands you've seen that are still floating around nowadays that were around in the 70s and 80s, and you look and you go, that's not how I remember it.
No.
Because you remember them as young, sprightly, energetic. Then you look at
bands like Rolling Stones, AC/DC type.
Well, yeah, I mean, wow, okay, so...
And Sabbath.
Well, yeah, the pensioners. The pensioners on stage, and it's
they're trying their best to keep that sound alive.
Yeah, the sound's there, but the energy's not there.
I know.
For me, the energy's gone.
Especially Angus from AC/DC, he's still trying his best.
That breaks my heart. That does.
I know.
It really does. But there you go.
Oh dear. Yes.
So, the 1982. So we've kind of fast forwarded a bit. So the next LP, and this was their so it was the 5th LP, and it was. Do you remember what it was called?
The Combat Rock.
Combat Rock. Now, Combat Rock is where the cracks really they increase with the band.
Okay.
And during the making of that, there was a lot of infighting, like a hell of a lot of infighting.
Gosh.
And that does happen with bands, definitely.
Yes.
You can't love it. Yeah, exactly. You live in each other's pockets, and when you're writing those LPs, that's just fraught. It really is.
Yes.
Especially if you're going to do like 50 takes on one bloody piece of music.
Oh, gosh.
But what they did was they made it more radio friendly, and it actually alienated Clash fans.
Oh no.
But what it did was it brought on a whole host of mainstream fans. So hits such as what I'd say was Rock the Casbah.
Oh yes.
And Should I Stay or Should I Go were a complete departure from their normal their normal stuff. I would say it's very, very almost pop music.
Yes.
But it was the most successful LP.
Okay.
Turning double platinum.
Wow.
But the kicker to it is, so Topper Hedden, the drummer, was a heroin addict.
Yeah, they kicked him out of the band, didn't they? Because of his constant use of drugs.
They did, and that was just before the release, literally before the release of the LP. which I think is quite sad.
Yes.
But you know, needs must and all that. You know, it's you know, that stuff is the devil's own stuff, isn't it? You know.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Was should I stay or should I? I can't speak. Should I stay or should I go? Was it an old rock and roll song or was it their song?
Oh.
I know. I thought the law was it Eddie Cochran? What they covered?
It was Eddie Cochran's song, but I don't know if Eddie Cochran wrote it.
Oh right.
I've got a feeling that's probably older than people think actually.
Well, I thought the law. Or
I thought the law.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know that's an old rock and, but I was thinking because it sounds a bit old-fashioned. Should I stay or should I go?
I genuinely don't know.
All right. So I was thinking it's an old rock and roll song.
I thought that Mick Jones had written it with Joe Strummer. Because
I could be wrong.
Yeah, they were the writing duo,
Yes,
and they wrote the sort of majority of the sort of songs with, you know, interspersed sort of bits of like other members of the band, if that makes sense. But you know, mainly they were kind of like the Lennon and McCartney of the band.
Oh yes, that's it.
If you like. But because those songs were radio friendly, it, like I say, and it was the second most popular LP, it just gained them a whole raft of brand new fans.
Yes.
Would you believe? So there you go.
Gosh, and Joe Strummer, not only is he a writer for music, he directed a film. He made his own film called Cops and Robbers.
But this is the film that nobody ever saw.
No.
Nobody ever saw it, so, you know, I would like to see that, and I'd like to see exactly what it contains.
The Cops and Robbers,
would it be better than one of my films? Quite probably. But who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
If you like that sort of thing, Moonstompers, check it out by all means.
I don't think it can be found anywhere, that's just the problem. But if you've got a copy of it, or if you've ever seen it, get down in the comments and let us know.
Let us know if you have.
Yeah. But according to folklore legend, nobody's ever seen it.
Okay.
I've not seen it, so I don't know.
I think ages ago, I might have seen a clip somewhere.
Really?
I think so. But if you can find it on YouTube, maybe there, who knows. I'm going to have a look anyway. I'm going to see if I can find it.
Did he play a dishwasher in that or something, in that film? Was it bearded dishwasher or something? I don't know.
This was long ago I'm talking about. I can't remember exactly the year.
Probably like a fever dream. Right, 1983, Mick Jones left the band.
Oh yes.
And to be honest with you, that was really what I would say was. I'd say that was the end of the Clash. I know they did an LP afterwards, studio LP, which was called
Cut the Crap, was it?
Cut the Crap, and I think that was in '85. But by which time Mick Jones had started.
Was it Big Audio Dynamite?
Big Audio Dynamite
yes.
with none other than Don Letts.
Don Letts, yes.
Wow.
But going back to the Clash, him and Joe Strummer had a bit of a rocking, a bit of a falling out. That's why they split ways.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that happens, doesn't it?
It does. But '84, Mick Jones got together with, like you said, with Don Letts to form Big Audio Dynamite.
Which you were a fan of.
Yeah.
Mrs Moonstomper liked Big Audio Dynamite. I just thought it was a pile of crap myself.
That was my teen years.
Yeah.
You like what you like when you're a teenager, so. Yes.
There you go. Okay, I've got nothing to say on that matter whatsoever. You know, at least I had some taste, Mrs Moonstomper. Just joking.
Horses
guys.
for courses.
Yeah, there you go. Just joking. Just joking.
Yeah,
right.
Big Audio. BA known as BAD. BAD, Big Audio Dynamite.
But there's a thing for you. So their second LP, Joe Strummer, actually, I think he co-wrote it with them.
Oh, he probably
Big
did.
Audio Dynamite second LP co-wrote.
He had a hand in it somewhere.
Yeah, he did definitely. And then there were bits and bobs. It was you know the Clash really. The Clash was no more after that. Although there were bits and pieces after that.
Yes.
But Joe Strummer, God bless him, died in age 50, didn't he?
He was 50.
2002.
2002, yes.
2000, didn't he have some sort of heart attack or something?
I think it was. His heart gave out, I think, yes. He's only 50 years old, still young as ever. 50 is no age.
No, it's not really, is it? No.
Oh,
No. So, that for me is the story of the Clash, and I can't think of anything else to say on it. Really, if whatever your experiences are, whatever your opinions are, guys, down in the comments below.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're there for.
Yeah, there's some bands that sing or refer to the Clash in their lyrics.
Okay, so
yes. Aztec Camera, the band Aztec Camera sang "Somewhere in My Heart."
Oh, yeah, I do actually. Yeah.
Yes.
Did Bob Marley as well?
Yes,
Was it
punky reggae.
Punky reggae.
He mentions the Jam and the Clash as well.
Well, who knew?
But Aztec Camera, they mention posters of Joe Strummer falling off your wall or something in that song "Walk Out to Winter."
Yeah.
Yes, and what is it? The Specials. And they sang "Gangsters," "Real Gangsters Time."
Yeah.
When Neville says, "Don't call me Scarface," in one beat, but near to the end, he says, "Bernie Rhodes, don't argue," and then and it finishes.
Yeah.
And for years I was always wondering what he was saying at the end. But he's saying this the Clash's first manager. Bernie Rhodes, don't argue. Yeah. So I found out the other day.
There you go.
Alright, man, alright.
Anything else, Mrs Moonstomper, on the Clash? No, nothing.
Should I stay? Should I go?
I think we should go, actually. I think that's the best thing you've said all day, guys. We've taken up way too much of your time again. So, coming up on the channel, guys, just very, very quickly before we go, right, there's going to be a quick change, and the reason we're going to change is because, right, we realised the screwdriver video went, like, wow, that went astronomical. Right, we're not doing this for clicks, and guys, we are not monetised, we're not taking anybody's money, and we will never ever ask you for money, and we don't want the monetisation off YouTube only. We do this because it's information, it's history, and it's our passion.
Of course.
If somebody wants to sponsor us, that's absolutely brilliant. I'm all cool with that, as long as it's the right thing and not a VPN or something like that. It's got to be something associated with what we're actually talking about.
Definitely,
but
yes.
that's for later. So, right, the competition, now we were going to do a competition, right, we're still going to do that competition. We're going to push that forward a bit because, right, we hit our target of subs way quicker than I could ever believe. So I think what we should do on our first birthdays, we're going to do a t-shirt giveaway.
Yes.
Now, some of you have asked for t-shirts already. Have we got a merch shop? We haven't set anything up.
No, not as
And
yet.
the reason we haven't is the shirt you can see me wearing, and the ones that Mrs Moonstomper's worn before, the ones I've worn before.
Oh yeah, it's the different coloured
Right,
ones. Yes.
they're okay on camera, but bear in mind we wear them for an hour on camera, that's it. Then they go back into the wash, into the wardrobe, out for the next time. I don't think it's an all-day hard wearing product, and I wouldn't be happy sending those to someone going, do you know what, that's brilliant merchandise, and then taking money for them.
Okay.
That's just not me.
We wouldn't do that.
So what we're going to do is we're going to get 5 quality t-shirts printed up, like really nice quality ones, heavy duty,
Yeah.
and we're going to give those to 5 lucky viewers.
Of course.
It'll just be completely at random, but you've got to send us an email to number 1 so we can get your size, where you are in the world,
Colour preference.
maybe colour preference,
yes.
but I think they just look nice in black, but I'm just biased, but maybe white as well, or red, or whatever.
Any colour,
And
yes.
we're going to send them to you completely free, so we don't post it, don't have money for them, and this channel will never be monetised, incidentally.
No.
I don't want monetisation for it. I think that's incorrect. We're not going to set up a Patreon or buy us a coffee or anything like that.
No.
This is completely free of charge,
Yes.
and it should be for everyone, and everyone is welcome onto the channel as well.
Yes.
So there.
So there.
And then the competition will be afterwards. And we've got a fabulous documentary coming up middle of the year, which is actually going into a film festival as well. So stick around and stay tuned for that. And then we're going to show you loads of the controversial bands that you want to see. But bear in mind, we do have to put some mainstream in. And bear in mind, with some of the controversial bands, we've got to edit those to the hills because YouTube will just take us off air if we if we're deemed to be supporting anything, we don't support anything on Moonstomper originals,
or whatsoever outside of Moonstompers or inside.
No, exactly. We're just completely apolitical, and we just get on with life, and that's the way it should be. Nice, just listen to the music. So stick around and stay tuned for all that. So, Mrs Moonstomper, anything else? Did you say should I stay or should I go?
Yes.
There you go.
It still stands. Should I stay or should we go?
I think we should go, actually. So I've got nothing else. So on that bombshell, that's me done. Peace out. Love you loads as ever. I've been Mr Moonstomper.
Love ya, Mrs Moonstomper says.
White people go to school, better get you out to the thick.